Friday. Somebody it's a Friday. And you're all welcome to this wonderful evening as we have this moment to discuss more on how to be a consultant. Because I do understand that most of us here have businesses, and as long as you're an entrepreneur, as long as you have a business, in one way or another, you are a consultant. And I think this conversation is going to be very beneficial to each and every one of you to help you grow your businesses. It's very insightful, and right here with me, I have 3 people who I think are the most and the best people that we need to guide us in this journey as we are going to be consultants and as we grow our companies. On my right here, I have Neha Pandya. Over here, I do have Martin Bari. And then here next to me, I have my brother, Simon. We go to church together, I think. Yes, watoto. Yes, so they are all here, they are specialists, and I'm going to read all their profiles so that you get to know about them and you understand why they are all here with us and to prepare you mentally. So Neha is the co-founder and chief operations officer of Flip Africa Limited, a COO, chief operations officer, a web-based freelance marketing place disrupting traditional employment to create millions of dignified jobs for African youth. With nearly a decade of experience serving in senior management roles at the International Law Institute Africa Center for Legal Excellence in Kampala, Neha has been a driving force behind fundraising approximately $9 million in grant funding to implement rule of law initiatives across the continent. During her tenure, Ms. Panda represented the organization on the Committee on Legal Education and Training of the Ugandan Law Council. Neha's professional journey began as an associate attorney in the Employment and Labor Law Practice Group at Duane Morris LLP in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. She has a Juris Doctor from Temple University and a Bachelor of Arts in Economics, Policy, and Metropolitan of Law Advisor, and studies with honors from New York University. Neha is an international development executive and rule of law advisor with expertise in good governance, anti-corruption, human rights, access to justice, livelihood, and job tech. Over 14 years, she has developed strategy and programs, designed policies and procedures, scaled initiatives, and managed teams across 3 continents for NGOs, social entrepreneurs, collaborating with bilateral and multilateral development partners. So in a nutshell, Neha is a consultant, and also she is the co-founder and chief operations officer at Flip Africa. So that's why she's here with us. And then here, I do have Simon next to me. Simon is the visionary founder of Student Hub, an innovative edutech firm dedicated to shaping career guidance for students using technology to personalize guidance based on their interests and abilities. In 2019, the Student Hub was recognized as one of the most innovative edutech technology in Africa by the African Union. The Student Hub now serves an average of 50,000 students monthly through its online platforms. In addition to his work with the Student Hub, Simon is the CEO of TechWise Solutions, an ICT solutions company providing expertise solutions to a range of businesses from SMEs to multinational corporations with a strong focus on educational technology and ICT solutions. Simon is a driving force in enhancing access to education and technology for students and businesses in Africa. So Martin Bale is the co-founder of Apprentice, a tech company that has been delivering tailored technology solutions since 2018. As an accomplished electrical and computer engineer with a master's degree in electrical and computer engineering, Martin brings over 8 years of software and engineering experience to his leadership role. He has significantly contributed to the telecommunications and the IoT industry within Uganda. Martin's passion for mentorship is evident, having guided over 40 engineers in Uganda and catalyzing their professional growth. His dedication to technology and mentorship has made a lasting impact on the tech community in Uganda. So as you see, they all have very good profiles and they all deserve to be here to share with us. They're very busy people, but they decided to get some time off their busy schedules to come and have this moment with us. So I'm going to start by giving Neha an opportunity to tell us a little bit more about Flip Africa so that they get to hear from you.
All right, great, thank you, and nice to meet everybody. Yeah, so Flip is a digital freelance marketplace. You can go and check out flipafrica.app, app. The idea is that my co-founder and I recognize we were both passionate about youth and, finding a solution to the youth unemployment challenge. We knew that the traditional ways of addressing youth unemployment were just like training people. But training people for what jobs? The number of formal jobs were just limited. So we thought we really had to look at where people were actually working. And when we looked further, we realized that people were really not unemployed. They were working in the gig economy. So we use a lot of these terms synonymously: gig economy, informal economy, freelancer, consultant. But what we're largely looking at is work that is not the traditional 8-to-5 work in informally registered businesses. So anything outside of that really falls into this gig sector that we talk about. And what we wanted to do with Flip and what we do is we have a marketplace where even the smallest of businesses can post a job for free. We recognize that the great majority of the economy is built on micro and small businesses. So is there a place where even those smallest of businesses can go ahead and post a job? Because they can't afford newspaper ads. And how are you going to hear about those businesses? How can we create visibility for the work opportunities? We recognize that work exists. There's plenty of work if you were to unlock this micro and small enterprise sector. And there's plenty of talent. We can tap into all of the people who are ready and willing to work and who are working. But how can we make that work dignified? And how can we create upward mobility or growth in a sector? When you're working as a consultant, when you're working as a freelancer, a lot of times you might be working, you have a gig, and then you'll wait 6 months until you get your next gig. Then you'll wait 2 months until you get your next gig, maybe 2 years before you get anything else meaningful. You'll be chasing your payment, you won't get paid half the time, you won't get paid what was agreed. These are the challenges that we wanted to solve. We also wanted to, if somebody gets sick while you might have a great gig, you may be paid very well. And then someone in your family gets sick, you lose all your savings. You're not even starting from zero, you're starting from below zero. So how can we create dignity, growth, upward mobility in gig work, in consultancy work, because this is where the majority of our youth are, not only in Uganda, but across the continent. And that's really how and why Flip Africa was born. So through our digital marketplace, our young people can go ahead and create a professional profile. That's also free of charge. What we also wanted to make sure is that when you get that one-day gig, it might be one day, but it might be an important gig. And it might, you might have a great reference from that gig. How can every gig you do count? So on the Flip platform, we've created a place where users can be seen, because visibility of young people was also very important to us. How do you get seen if you're not important, if you're not related to anybody important? How do you get seen? So, on Flip you can put up a picture, but you can also create a 30-second video pitch and say, hey, this is who I am, this is what I'm about, this is what I'm great at. So be able to pitch yourself and what you can offer. And beyond, your elite degrees, and we try to take the value away from that which you cannot control and put the value in what you can control. So where have you worked previously, even if it was for 1 day or 2 weeks or 3 months, and how did you perform in those gigs? So the first thing you'll see when you pull up a profile on Flip are your ratings and testimonials from your previous supervisors. So you're rated on your quality of work, you're rated on your professionalism, you're rated on your timeliness, do you show up on time, or you're rated on your integrity, are you trustworthy? So that's how the Flip platform works. It gives an opportunity for businesses to post, for young people to create profiles. As soon as you're matched to a job, a contract is auto-generated, because a lot of the exploitation I mentioned can be addressed through the contracting, the legality of even the smallest jobs. And then payments are processed through us. So even if if you're hired through Flip, we give you that social capital. We service sort of that social capital to ensure that, what was agreed is actually delivered, and that you're paid according to the terms and time that was mutually agreed. So we process those payments, and then we're there to manage those disputes as well. So I will stop there, because I know that you have a lot more people to contribute.
Yes, let's hear from Martin.
Mic check. Yes, so Martin is my name, Martin Male, and co-founder of Apprentice. So one of the things that inspired the start of Apprentice was the lack of product mindset with most of from experience with my co-founder in terms of all the projects that we have been working on, and even the organizations we have been working in. So someone may ask, what is product mindset for that matter? Because I think there are two words that are used, together. That is product mindset and project mindset. So that was mostly around the need to do impactful work. So we saw that there is a lot of organizations and also individuals who are developing so many solutions. Mobile apps, they're migrating their solutions to the cloud, they're doing everything, they're doing blockchain, they're doing everything that is present, but the measure of the impact of their work was something that is not usually given so much attention in terms of the metrics of aligning whether the technology is actually serving the purpose, the vision, or the mission of the organization that you're part of. So coming from that premise, we were inspired by coming up with a platform where actually we can be able to create tailored solutions for both businesses and individuals, but mostly businesses. So what are tailored solutions? So we go deeper than just doing just creating a mobile application for you or solving a tech problem for you. We continuously review how that solution will have an impact on your organization, and through that process, we are able to really ensure that the solutions that we create for you are actually aimed at promoting your vision and mission of an organization. But then on top of that, our vision also is to be one of the leading tech solution providers within the region, that's East Africa and beyond. But ideally, that's mostly it, providing tech solutions, but not just any normal tech solutions, but also trying to ensure that the tech solutions that we provide are impactful, and that means throughout all that work with the people that we work with, we usually look at the technology roadmap of the organization, and then also we try to integrate within the organization that we work with, so that the solutions that we actually deliver are impactful at the end of the day. Yeah, so that's it in summary of our practice. Thank you.
Thank you, Martin.
Hello, good evening. Yes, as you said, my name is Simon Kawesi. I'm the CEO at Fairprice Solutions. as you hear the word, tech-wise. So when I was in university, the mandate of the day challenged me to always, use technology as a more adding to the body of knowledge. So when I finished university, I started Skywise. And at that point in time, all I had in my toolbox was technology, hence Skywise. So we had to come up with different solutions, which use the power of technology. And one of our first products, we call the Student App, is running after today. And we felt it prudent to use our knowledge of technology to address problems in society. And at that point in time, we came from the angle that there were many students who didn't know what they were doing at the university because they never got career guidance. And many of the schools that you attended, you can attest to the fact that you have like about 5,000 students in the school and one careers master or mistress for that matter. So many students, choose programs because of, well, maybe it sounds very nice, maybe matter of laws, engineering, without having that understanding of what this kind of program will lead them in terms of their career aspiration. So that's one of the things that we built under TechWise, basically trying to personalize career guidance using technology based on the interest of individuals. And ever since then, our points of interest have always been from the angle that how are we using technology to offer solutions, because there's this cliche that if the only tool you had was a hammer, then everything else you see around is a nail. So for us with our knowledge of technology, everywhere we see a challenge, we ask, so technology solve this? So we've gone ahead to solve problems. For example, in manufacturing, in education, in government ministries, basically coming from the angle that we have the technology at our disposal. What can we do with this technology that can be of great value to individuals? So that has been our experience. Been around for 8 years, basically contributing to the best way we can. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Simon. I'm going to go back to Neha because she works with so many consultants, and I think it would be great to start from her. And the first question really that I would really want to know, and I do believe that our audience would love to know, is who are those consultants that tend to get the most gigs?
I'd say for Flip, because there's a lot of different platforms. It's there's that have like different focus. I know there's WAPI there that focuses on like external contracts in other countries. There's Chloe, I don't know if it's still around, but that focuses on like plumbers and sort of like blue collar. And then there's Tunga that focuses a lot on tech jobs. Flip is more focused on sort of the white collar. So those that have finished university, that's sort of our typical profile. We do have different jobs that are also sort of more people with a vocational skill. But I'd say our typical flipper is a university graduate with a couple years under their belt. So in terms of people with sort of the flip profile, I'd say that the types of jobs that every company needs, regardless of the size, have to do with sales and finance. So every company would need a sales team or a marketing team, whether it's like sales and marketing generally, whether it's a graphics designer, a digital marketer, something to get that company's brand to market. And the other one is, something in the accounting realm. So even if it's a bookkeeper, but even the smallest of business would need someone to come maybe, once a year and look over their books or to help them prepare a budget. So really basic tasks, but I'd say those are two skills that are very, very cost-cutting, regardless of the size of the industry.
All right, then, to add to what you have said, the other question, if I forget it, is assuming I want to hire a consultant, okay? Because I do see if I'm a young person and I'm a consultant and I've signed up, and on that end there's the person who is interested in paying me for that service. What are those things that people tend to look out for in someone before they say, I want to work with this person?
I think a large part of it is building your personal brand. And we had a session on this yesterday as part of Flip's Future Work podcast. But this is something that each of you has control over, whether you're just out of school or just building your career, or if you've been around for 10 years. You have control over your personal brand. How, when someone Googles your name, what comes up? What's the first thing that comes up? Is it hard to find you? Do you even show up on the first page? Because no one's going past the first page of results. So you have control over that narrative. What do you want it to be? So do you have a LinkedIn profile? It depends on your industry. LinkedIn might not be the right, venue for you. Maybe it's a blog. Maybe it's Medium. Maybe it's Twitter. What are you known for? So, even if you don't have tons of experience under your belt, because the short answer is people are looking for someone who's going to do the job. So sometimes that means experience, but they want to know that you know what you're doing. So if you don't have the experience yet, can you demonstrate that you know what you're doing? So whether it means writing articles, you can write about a topic. You can be active on LinkedIn and respond to posts in your industry, and be actively commenting, be guiding the conversation, create posts, read about it. Like, there's so much that's within your control. There's so much that's not. Right? But what is within your control is your personal brand. So really, be the person, navigate that, that curate that image that you want for yourself, that brand and that personal brand that you want for yourself. Yeah, that's what I would say.
All right. You said something that I think, you said, what job can you do? Like, what can you do at the end of the day? That's what the person is looking for. And also they're trying to find out, are you competent enough to do what you say you can do? And now I switch back to Simon and I ask him, what do the people know you for, Simon? As you, if I want to give you a job, what do people know you for? The people that give you the work to do in your consultancy?
Well, of course, as a matter of fact, they know that I can deliver solutions that involve technology in different domains, but also the fact that it will not just be a one-off. And many times, for the case of this growing industry in Uganda, sometimes we go an extra mile. So surely, when people come to take notes and they need a solution, one thing they're going to do is to be a part of the entire process, be it requirements analysis, validation, trying to help them understand their problem better. Because as a matter of fact, when people become consultants, you realize that people will come to you when clearly they don't understand their problem. Now, let me just give a very simple example. So someone comes to you, they are procuring some hardware, maybe a magnetic machine, and they want you to build a solution on it. And for starters, when you do an assessment, you realize they bought the wrong machine. So that is wasting his money. So you realize that as a consultant, and also when you come to us, you then have to advise the client that for this kind of problem that you are facing, maybe a magnetic solution is not what you should look at. at this point in time. First get certain things in place, but sometimes they may want to, get a solution in place, but they don't have any IT infrastructure, they have no computers, they have no server in place. So as a consultant, you need to advise them on some of those things, so that by the time they make you further to deploy a solution, which is being deployed in an environment where you'll be able to add value. Yeah, so that's one of the things that we try in terms of advising the client. And sometimes we tell them, I think we're not the right people to go to. Maybe try out this other firm which has a bigger network. So that authenticity, that genuineness is really what we are.
Last time when you said something very interesting, a client comes to you, they're offering you money, but you know you cannot do the work, so you go ahead and tell them not to do it, and yet we live in a country whereby everyone is looking for money at the end of the day. Who is going to chase an opportunity when they know they can, figure out a way or play it around? So how did you reach that point when you told yourself that if I cannot do something and I'm so sure that I'll not be able to do it, I'll pass it on? How did you come to that point to make that decision?
So it came from the fact that in as much as we can do so much, we also have some limitations as individuals. And it's very important to be in a community where you know people who can complement the kind of work that you do. You can't be on an island. If you're a software developer here and you stay in your garage and do things from there, then consulting, usually sometimes you don't get it right. So there are times, honestly, where you work, number one, you have available resources, the level of their expertise. Someone can come to you and they want you to contribute to a particular stack. And honestly, among the team members, you are not very proficient. Now, usually, there's this thing of you don't chase money, so you assume you can get one of the developers and the crash course for like a week and be able to deliver the kind of work someone can deliver who has been at this stack for about 5 years. So there's a time when you be realistic, where you honestly realize that, I think it's better off if, say, I call someone who I can vouch for in terms of their work ethics, in terms of their experience, and let's take this opportunity. So that at the end of the day, you don't claim to, or you don't take on this kind of job. It frustrates you so much, you deliver a terrible job, and the funny thing with business is that if a client is not satisfied with the service, they usually don't keep it themselves. They will speak to other 5 people, 10 others. I think you can see the Equity Bank issue here. I think people are going to go to a client and maybe it's a national issue, So it's honestly very important as a consultant to know that this part I can take, this other, I know someone who is very credible, who is very competent, and can participate to it.
That's a very powerful one, knowing what you can take and what you can't take. And now it takes me to Martin. Have you ever had a situation where you had to turn down an opportunity because you couldn't do it?
Yeah, that's a good one. So for me, it's kind of slightly modified from that angle. So that sometime I was working on Bajaj Auto Limited, Bajaj. So they wanted the USSD application. That was many years ago. And at that moment, there was a part where we needed integration with MTN Mobile Money. Now at that time, MTN Mobile Money had just come up, and it was one of those things, kind of like area to quite a number of people. But I knew someone who was working for a firm which MTN outsources. So at that moment in time, the money was needed. The money was looking very good. I remember I was even involved in all those complex negotiations and coming up with all the budgets, putting all those dollars there and all that. So the money was looking good, and we needed it at that moment in time. So what happened is well, instead of saying bye-bye, I had to make a few phone calls because I knew people who were good at certain areas. And then we created a quote-unquote, what I usually refer to as another virtual team for that project. And yeah, we instituted, they got their share, everyone got their cut, and that's how we navigated it. So that's a short story in relation to what you've asked, yes.
Okay, that's a good angle to look at it. But now let's look at it. If things don't go the way you had planned for it, assuming you get a gig and you were supposed to deliver, but then you did not deliver. And I think it's very common whereby you deliver and then a client is not happy with the work that you have done. On your side, you could see that actually I did my best, but then the client is not happy with it. Has that ever happened to you?
Oh yes, it has ever happened, and even the exchanges were quite tough at that moment in time.
So I guess one of the things that I did realize along those kind of exchanges was there was a need for at that moment in time was also some bit of learning, and you know, we didn't really go through so much into documentation. It was kind of, we usually do this whole aspect of Agile where we meet frequently, every after week, then we see what you've done, and then all of a sudden they check and all that stuff. So this engagement where, you know, this particular client was, you know, they were not very easy, and I think in some scenarios, even for those in the audience, there will be scenarios where probably one of the people you work with or you partner with is not very easy. But then of course there's also an opportunity to navigate, because I think you know, it's not that every time everything will be smooth. So how do you navigate that? So at that moment in time, we increased the things in terms of where we review the requirements frequently, and that helped ease the tension somehow. But then the challenge was some requirements were a little bit unrealistic at that moment in time. And then I think along the way we had to, of course it was quite unfortunate, we had to let that particular project go. You know, we had to, you know, we kind of balanced our books there, and then we had to let it go. But then of course, I think one thing, I mean, from experience that I kind of picked up there was also being able to kind of, because at the beginning is that the challenge is that most people, I think as Simon mentioned, is that there's some where they are not even so sure of the requirements. And even as time goes on, their requirements keep on changing along the way. And that's the challenge with some of the approaches that we use at Operators, which is the Agile methodology. It's kind of like low on documentation. So you kind of pick up the requirements on the go, you know, along the way. Now the challenge with that is that things can go sideways. Someone goes and watches CNN, then they hear someone blockchain, then they come and they're like, what if we, you know? And then you just go in circles. So I guess there's also an opportunity to maybe, in as much as, I think the approach that we are currently taking is all these approaches as you're working on solutions are good, but we kind of we pick good things out of everything. So you find that even this kind of what people call traditional approach, where you first gather all the requirements, you know, go through requirements meeting, gathering, then you spend like some month, and then after you start, well, some may frown upon it, but also, you know, if at all, probably, you know, even within an agile environment, where we do sprints, where you sprint for like either 1 week or 2 weeks, the first sprints can be mostly focused on having some, you know, a bit of a stable requirements documentation. And then, however much it's agile and things will change, we kind of create a boundary under which things can change, like things cannot go so much sideways. So that way, it kind of minimizes scenarios where someone kind of goes so much sideways from the original set of things. But yeah, that's it in summary.
All right, thank you, Martin. And what I'm hearing from you is that, and even Simon, clients are very unpredictable. They really change their interests. Today they want this, tomorrow they want CNN, and now they want blockchain, tomorrow AI. And on the other hand, also clients do not know what they want. Most of the time, they don't even understand the problem that they're trying to address. And you have the big task as a consultant to deliver, because at the end of the day, when you do not deliver, they complain. And now that goes to Neha. The question that I wanted to ask was, as a consultant, how do I protect myself?
Great. Yeah, I want to go back to documentation. I think everybody's hit on it. And I think, as a consultant, you want to be leading your client. You want to be leading the conversation in terms of, bringing your expertise to the table. So you say, okay, well, what is it that you want? And they explain, you're in your meeting, like I said, go in with the notebook, make sure that you're taking down exactly what they want. And the next thing to do after the meeting is to send it to them and say, hello, these are the 5 key things that we discussed. Here are the specifications of what you want delivered. Can you ensure that this is what we had agreed? Please let me know if there's any feedback. So just having that in writing, immediately, very fresh out of the conversation is really key. And then costing based on those specifications. Those are just, saying, if there are changes, it's absolutely understandable, but we'll have to review the cost structure, if there are major changes. The other thing is going ahead and putting that in a contract. Especially where you're working with small businesses, be careful because they're not going to have the capacity to have contracts. And so it's very, very common in this market to have an engagement based on word of mouth that is so dangerous. Because they will very conveniently forget everything that you've discussed. And yes, you have that email that says, this is what we've agreed, this is the cost. To some extent, that does capture contractual terms as an agreement. If you can actually have a contract, you can be, again, leading this conversation and say, here's a draft template that I use for my various clients. Maybe you can adopt it. So even just fill it out for them. So take that initiative. There's so much content online for you to just grab a template, keep it super simple so you understand it in and out. Your client understands it in and out. And it's because it's not just about amount and pay, but it's also about when you're going to get paid, right? Because you can have worked for 3 months and still be waiting for that payment because you haven't delivered, sprint, whatever, that keeps changing, right? So that's where you want to make sure that you do have a contract that's really clear, basically on deliverables and time frame and what each party's responsibility is. And keep it simple. And then the other thing is to check in very regularly, not to the point where the clients gets annoyed, but I think somebody had mentioned that, have these, whether they're weekly check-ins, am I on the right path? Does this look good to you so far? Just to manage those expectations, you have to lead as a consultant. You're offering the service, be in the driver's seat, be the one leading the client rather than vice versa. I think that power gives you the ability to just let the client also know that you are delivering the service. You're the expert in delivering the service. So yeah, check it.
All right, thank you. So it's key for us to write down and also to document, and then to have a contract, and then once in a while to check in with the client. Those are 4 very important things for us to ensure that we are in sync with what the client wants. And also, I would love to ask this, a lot of young people, when they're in a meeting with someone, they love to get their phones and take the notes with their phones. And sometimes they say we're in the technology world. The whole thing of writing in a book or on a paper is very traditional. What would you love to say about that? Because someone will tell you, it's not like I'm busy, I'm on my phone, I'm taking notes. What does that communicate to the client?
I think it really depends on who you're sitting across from. So if you're sitting across from someone that's your age mate, they'll get it, maybe, most likely. But if you're across the table from someone older, they're gonna think, you're not serious. So you wanna really play it safe, I say, until you establish yourself, your personal brand as someone who is an expert, and you've had so many clients that have given you 5-star reviews that no one's going to question whether you're actually taking notes on your phone, right? So they know that you've already proven yourself, you're the one. So once you get to that point, take notes in your head if you want, right? You should always write it down because you want to email, verify, regardless of how experienced you are. But I would just say, play it safe while you're building your reputation, while you're building your brand, while you're building your portfolio. Yeah, I just keep it. Don't let ever don't give anyone a reason to question, whether you're serious.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. I think at this moment, we would love to hear from the audience if anyone has a question regarding what we have discussed before we could move.
My name is Elijah, and I'm very love being participating in the call. One, I love what you guys do because I'm doing software engineering. I would love to own my own platform and it's known as mine. I would like to ask you something like a stepwise. Do you guys take on upcoming solutions? Do you have to brainstorm or do you have to wait for the client to come to you so that you can come up with a solution? I think for you to ask clear, you tailor to certain niche or industry.
Yeah, that's a good one. Of course, there's a bit of being proactive. Usually, there are some times you call dry spells. The clients are a bit elusive. So what do you do with your time? That's where now you come up with some solutions and then go to the client. So in that period of time, that's how we were able to build different platforms for e-learning, for inventory management systems, because it was just a time where we were out of, the project we were working on had closed, so we're a bit done. So we thought of some kind of work. But also, of course, it's a time to hone your skills, because usually when the client comes, as you do more of these projects, you grow in experience and in wisdom, and so the next time another client comes, you're a bit more prepared. In case the previous contract you did not charge very well, you've learned from such a kind of experience, so you can charge better. If you had issues with project management, because usually, to be honest with you, it's very dangerous to be the developer at the same time the project manager. So if you are an army of one, it becomes quite an experience. So if the previous project you were doing almost everything, then that kind of time where you're looking for more, you also reaching out to some of your colleagues to actually come on board, to help out with other aspects of the business, which really complemented your core work. So it's something that you need to be continuously honing your craft so that whenever opportunity shows up, you are very good.
My name is Harley. My question goes to Neha. Your platform serves young people. For most people like you who are starting up in the area of consultancy, the challenge always is gaining the trust of the potential clients, but also getting notice. So what are the things that you're doing on the platform that helps young people get noticed, but also get trusted as potential service providers, but also what would be the hub to easily get noticed if someone is starting out in the consultancy business? Thank you.
So if you're starting out, I think about what you have done, because there's probably a lot that you have done that you haven't yet counted. So things that stand out to me for someone who's just out of school is your leadership experience in school. So that shows your character and your potential, even in the limited time that you've had to experience, the professional world. So leadership experience, even just gigs that you've done, have you been working in a family business? So a lot of people don't count a lot that they've done. Even just experience that, just, internships that you've done and the like. So even all of those experiences carry a lot of weight, because maybe you had an internship in school and you killed it, and your supervisor is like, this was the most hardworking person I've ever met. That counts a lot. I can say a lot of businesses are not able to hire experts, right? They're looking for the person right out of school who's gonna work really hard and deliver results. So, I think when we talk about personal brand, yes, skill is part of it. But and you can't quite control that, because a lot of it is based on your experience and just how good you are, and that's a work in progress. But what you can control is your integrity. What you can control is your reliability, your professionalism, you showing up. So there's a lot you can get right that's very much within your control. What do people say about you? And does it show? So there's a lot that we look at in terms of determining what is a high potential person. Because not everybody is an expert. And not every business wants an expert. Not every business can afford an expert. But those things that you can control, can you? And just learning as much as you can in your field. We are starting to offer learning tools and training tools. So even just taking like our workplace readiness training and other trainings that you can take online for free, get certifications from online, just to show this like desire to continue to build and learn and grow. So I think there's so much you can do to stand out that others wouldn't take that initiative to do. In terms of what we can do to protect you, that's exactly why we exist. Because everybody was already working in gigs, right? We didn't create gigs. But what we realized is this great deal of exploitation from businesses that will hire you to do something and then never pay you, or businesses that spend a lot of money hiring someone and the person runs away and doesn't deliver. So there's a lot of mistrust on both sides, and our goal was really to bridge that gap and service social capital on both ends. So what we do to protect you is we actually charge you at the time that you get paid. We don't charge you before, but at the time that you're being paid for an installment of your work, we take 10%. It's a very transparent charge. It's not something that comes up. Everybody who joins Flip knows about this charge. And our role is really to make sure that you get paid your 90% on time, for the work that was delivered. And then if there are disputes in the workplace, we're there to, support both sides. So we do make sure that you're paid on time and, what was agreed. And we hold that money in escrow. So before you actually start working, the business pays into our trust account or our escrow account. And we keep that until you deliver, at which point we deliver 90% to you, and we retain 10% of the commission.
Is someone else who had a question? Yeah.
Thank you so much, all the speakers. Mine goes directly to Linear still. Some people have probably working for companies, yes, and you would love to work as and you also have to give that service as consultants. What would you provide for them as
when I was first starting Flip, I was working at the International Law Institute for a decade. And it was like 2018 that I was, still there, but had moved to part-time while I was building Flip. And I was speaking to our accountant, who 9 to 5 every day was at ILI's offices and, working on doing everything that needed to be done for ILI. And I remember, running the idea of consultancy and gig work by him. And I asked him, does this resonate with you? And he ended up telling me that he had 11 clients a month while working full-time, at the Institute, which is so typical. I mean, that's amazing. But I think that's the beauty of the economy. I think this concept of like micro work, because businesses are simply too small to pay you a full salary that is meaningful, right? You don't want to be full-time employed at a place that's going to pay you some subpar wage. But the opportunity to get, 11 or 10 different companies paying you, for a few hours a week, right? That again puts you in the driver's seat. So you're earning from different companies. You're earning in small amounts. So the company can't pay you 2 million shillings. They can pay you 200,000. But then you have like 5 that are each paying you 200,000, or you have 10 that are paying you 200,000. All of a sudden, you're making as much as you want, right? And you're in control of the assignments that you're taking. You're in control of the deliverables. But that also means that you have to deliver. right? So that's where you don't want to take off more than you can chew. And I think this goes back to Simon's point that, you take on what you know you can deliver very well, because it goes back to your personal brand. Are you someone that gets things done well every time? And once you start breaking that pattern, your personal brand goes down, and yeah, your ability to attract business goes down as well.
Thank you so much, Neha. And now I'm going to ask this question to Simon. And the question is, what makes a good consultant? What qualities make someone stand out?
That's an interesting question. Of course, one, a good consultant, of course, you need to be to some level very proficient in such a kind of area. So when you think of branching out into consultancy work, you need to hold your craft. You need to be very proficient, and so that you get there. Just not on one project or two projects, but you need also to be very confident in your particular skill set. But number two, it's a people's business. I've been software development, but software is really not for machines, that is for people to use. So you need to learn how to work with people, because usually when you deploy a software solution, you don't simply put it there and off you go. You have to do some training. You have to be part of the change management process. I'll give an example. The first time I did a project for one of the big companies here in Uganda, they were coming from their processes. They didn't have any systems in place, so they had more like vouchers. They were the ones they were using to track issues, with all the products that were being returned. So first time I got in, I proposed a solution, worked with them, got to understand the different stages, the solution you have to, the different, departments which will be affected by this kind of solution. So when we deployed, it was now time to extinguish fires. So you to be a consultant in this particular area of software development, we call it extinguishing fires. Someone is like, it's not working, you're supposed to, in a manner that is respectful, but also because you are pretty much a consultant, so you know the solution in and out, so you're able to get them to understand, get them to buy into the solution, because many solutions actually fail because people have not embraced them. So when you're a consultant, you will need to work with people. The other thing I can think of is communication. There's this cliche that communication is the lifeblood of any relationship. Now, look at all the relationships you have, just part of communication, and don't die. So you continuously have to communicate. Sometimes it may not be very comfortable. You're attending a review meeting and they are just yelling at you. But you're supposed to communicate to them. They have made a change request that is pretty much going to affect work that you've done for like a month. So how do you react? You slam the door, you walk out. You're supposed to communicate to maintain that relationship. One thing that I learned is that maintaining a client is much cheaper than getting a new one if you're a consultant. Actually, research shows that it costs 5 times more to get a new client than maintain an old client. So how do you maintain that client? Is continuously communicating to them, because some of these clients, their core line of work is not technology, so they can have an issue as simple as they can't clear their cache, their browser cache. So it's a web application, and this end you are like an obvious thing, but remember that is not their core line of work. So being mindful of some of those things will really position you to be a very good consultant, because you want to work with people, you need to communicate with people, you need to be in their space in the sense that they are hired you, so they trust you to deliver a solution. So those are things I can think of. Okay, maybe my colleagues can add on this.
Before Martin adds, you said something about communication being the lifeblood of all relationships. And it really hit me so hard because this afternoon I called to check on a friend. I don't know, for some reason they just came on my mind and I decided to call. And they told me, oh, you didn't know Patrick died like in August 2nd. And for a moment, I lost words and I didn't even know what to say. But this is the person that always called to check on how I was doing. And it was always from that person's side trying to check on me and not really on my side. And it hit me so hard that I didn't know this. I knew the person was struggling, they were ill, but I didn't take the initiative to keep checking on them even when I knew that they were really sick. So I think it goes back to even our clients. One day the client just chooses to drop you off. And because you are not communicating with this client, it's hard for you to even know that the relationship has gone sour or it has come to an end. So when you say that, communication, people, and also being confident about what you are offering. And let me give Martin an opportunity to add to what you have said.
Yeah, thank you. So I think I'll just go with the flow. You know, I like that part of communication. And actually, was it recently? Was it yesterday or even today? I don't know. I was reflecting about whenever people talk about knowledge. There's this, you know, I've realized the interpretation could be different to many people. So there's this knowledge of, you know, maybe you know calculus, you know linear algebra, you know programming, you know, you're good, you learned all that stuff, very good knowledge. And then there's this, should I call it life knowledge? Whatever that is. Life, you know, life, like, you know, things that are kind of not taught in school, right? And yet street knowledge, right? That's the word, street smart, exactly. Now, you do realize that most of the time, you find that being street smart can actually get you further than this, you know, the normal knowledge that people talk about, right? So, yeah, I want to start from that, from the communication perspective. So you find that you need to be a little bit street smart as if you want to be a really good consultant, because you're dealing with people, and as you understand, us as humans, we're a little bit complex in nature. We're not like machines, or these machines. You just tell it, give me that, then it gives you that. Even I think dogs are also a little bit. They also, you know, but I don't know. Anyway, whatever. But the point here is that it's important to appreciate that as human beings, we're a little bit complex. You find that even people within your team can also, someone can wake up feeling sad, you know, and maybe they speak to you in a certain way. Now, how you react can also kind of impact the productivity of that project you're working on. So appreciating the complexity of human beings and how to deal with them, and probably also, again, the point of street smart is that there's this art of under-promising and over-delivering. So what does that mean? Is that from whatever, you know, because I think people in the audience, we haven't gotten a chance to know who, you know, in terms of what they do. You may find some people here that do not do tech, maybe they're into whatever, sweet potato farming, whatever that is. You can apply all this concept generally, and actually at Apprentice we try to be agnostic and not focus so much on the details of this technology, this one, but rather we're focusing on the actual solution you're offering and not being so taken away by the technology. So going back to that art of under-promising and over-delivering is that it's important in your interactions with the relevant, you know, kind of clients to kind of manage their expectations with that art. So you in your mind, you know you can deliver more than what you're telling them, but because as you understand you're dealing with human beings, you need to also play that art. So you tell them I'll do A and B, but when you demo to them a week from now or 2 weeks from now, you show them more than what you told them you would deliver. Now that leaves some impact on the clients. They can even recommend you to other people, and things can compound because of that being impressed. Now that may not come naturally. I don't think that is taught in like normal school, right? That street smart thing. So I think I've just given just one example, but I guess as you as an individual, as you grow, it's important to also watch out for those small things, or rather what you may refer to as small, but actually can put you further or can push you further in your consultancy endeavors more than even what you know in terms of your profession. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. My keyword there is under promise, over deliver. Okay, maybe not too much under promising, but you leave out some of the things that you're going to shock them with. So as we are almost winding up on how to be a consultant the right way, I'm going to give each of our speakers the opportunity to give us 3 key mindsets that a consultant is supposed to have if they're to stand a chance to be the best, and for people to give them one more gift. 3 key mindsets.
I would say first and foremost, build your brand. You have control over that. Build your personal brand and tell the world what you can offer. And secondly, I would share document. So manage expectations by ensuring that you have what is expected in writing, in terms of the work to be done and the payment details. If you can, put it in a contract. And third and related, be in the driver's seat, right? So tell the client what can be done, what is possible. Come with a template for a contract if you can. Be in charge of how the relationship goes. Check in, I would say, well, I don't want to steal yours because but I would say don't overpromise and underdeliver.
I should go to. Yeah, so I think for me it's mostly having a product mindset. I think would really be good. And what I mean by product mindset is that continuously checking what you deliver to kind of make sure that it is impactful and it's delivering what it's supposed to do. So you find that you need to also track some metrics. You need to look at what you're delivering. I'm speaking from kind of like a product perspective. Is that if you approach that particular work as a checkbox thing, that I'm supposed to be doing this, and then you checkbox, and then you go, you find that some of these systems are like human beings, or rather, if you look at them like human beings or something, you need to continuously monitor and also adjust along the way, because you find that requirements sometimes change, but also being adaptable, being able to change based on adapt the technological landscape, adopt the things that are coming on, but also at the same time, not just, because I think one of the challenges we have within, for example, let me use like a university environment or where someone is doing a final year project, and then after that, that's it. I mean, the goal is to get that degree, right? The goal is not to solve a problem in society. So that's where product mindset comes in. So in the university environment, it's project mindset, but then in this world of consultancy, you might need to tap into the product mindset where you're continuously questioning, is what I'm doing delivering value to the user? Because even going back to what Simon talked about, where you find that you're doing all things, you have like 1,000 apps on the App Store, but even the people you're developing them for are not using it. You develop for KCCA, you develop for NEMA, you develop for what? But when you do a random trip to those offices, government offices, and ask, how many people by putting up hands have installed your app that I developed for you? And people now start, Ugandans are usually nice people, they may pretend that what, then but imagine the app you developed for that organization, none of them has installed it, or 1 or 2 people. Why? Probably when you delivered, you didn't follow up to see that, there's some things which are not communicated in the process of developing, and it requires you to be proactive and take on the product mindset. I think the whole thing of product mindset is a little bit deep. It can even be like a session of its own, but it takes a little bit of, kind of learning to appreciate that what you've worked on, actually, there's the part of people taking usability and people embracing your solution is also something that needs to follow up accordingly. Thank you.
One of the things that I would encourage us to do is One, don't be afraid to ask for help. Yes, you are a consultant. It doesn't mean that you're the custodian of all knowledge. Don't be afraid to ask for help. I'll share this example. Many times when we develop some of these solutions, like software, let me give an example. Many clients want the one-off. Now, this is a fact. As the day follows night, or night follows day, there will always be something to tweak, even after you close that project. Now, when you get to such a kind of level, it's very important to engage those that have walked that journey before. Things like annual maintenance contracts, so you negotiate them very well so that your effort doesn't go to waste. Number two, of course, that also ties into the aspect of mentorship. Still, there are those that have gone before you. It's very important to seek their guidance on a number of things. There are honestly some projects where you do them for portfolio purposes. You are fresh from the university, really no one knows you, you know. This person comes up with, it's a simple tool. Like the first project I did actually my senior certification. My optician had an issue with tracking clients, you know, the prescriptions we've been giving them over there. So I designed something very small for him, and yeah, it acted as, you know, a product that I could phone before people and tell them I have actually done something with this data. So it's very, very important that, of course, as a consultant, you go through stages. There are times whereby you also be getting work and giving to other people. But at the start, you need to be very willing to learn, and also seek as much help as possible, because there are some things that you know and there are so many other things you won't actually be able to know. So, and also one of the things that many consultants struggle with, I don't know why, maybe if I'm allowed to talk more about it, is how do you cost your products? You know, now that is a whole topic. You know, in terms of, okay, so how much are you going to charge this person? Do you charge according to your hunger needs? Or you know, you have a bit of perspective. And that's where I think platforms like Flip come in, whereby in that bit of training and preparing you, you know, to be this consultant who's able to make some good money. You get to know your work, you know how to charge. You also know how to ensure that, because there are times whereby it is you and the client, you know, there's no anyone in between. So you actually do the closing, you do the follow-up calls, the emails, and those kind of things. So, and that's where the community of like-minded leaders comes in to ensure that you get the best out of your talent. Okay.
Thank you so much, Simon. Do you charge according to your hunger needs? Anyway, let's hear from one of the people in the audience.
Thank you so much for the presentation. And my take-home words, harmony, custodian of all knowledge, and delivering well. That brings me to a question I had even way before you were asked what makes a good consultant. Well, if you navigate the LinkedIn world, you find that most people, most startups, or most entrepreneurs have these three things all true, but consultant never misses when they build their profiles mostly. So and so, business coach or mentor, consultant. And I know a few people in particular, they just recently registered their businesses, they won a few grants, and before you know it, boom, consultant. And I happened to ask one of them, well, so it happens that you're a consultant, and they're like, yeah, I am. So I asked her particularly, so where exactly can I come for you? In which field exactly? And she was like, I'm a business consultant.
okay, particularly where? Because I know you're dealing in this, and I'm dealing in this. All around. I'm a business consultant generally, and I have this experience. I have been doing this for 1 year now, and yeah, I went to school. I have this educational background, so definitely, yeah, I'm a consultant. And the other person was, well, I've spent 10 years in business, so that's enough to make me a consultant. So that's where my question comes from. Does being in business for a long time make one eligible to being a consultant? Or does education background make one eligible for consultancy? Thank you so much. The discussions have been quite enriching. I'm going to refer to one of the statements that Neha said, that not everybody is an expert, and not every business wants an expert. What is the expertise and consultancy? Can we relate those two? Are experts consultants, or are consultants experts? And secondly, it relates to the question that she just asked. These days, everyone calls themselves a consultant. You get it? What defines a consultant? Because I can also come up and say I'm a consultant. Is it because I've been in that field for a long time? Is it because of my level of education? So we need a clear definition of what makes one. You may be a specialist in a field, but you're not qualified to be a consultant. So we need a clear definition of what that is. And also there are many people who say they are consultants, and yet they are subcontracting. You get the job in the name of consultancy, and yet 80% of the work to be done is being subcontracted to the actual consultants. So I think we need to appreciate that. Thank you.
I think my question is, how do we identify the wannabes and the actuals? That's the question. How, when we get into this engagement of, okay, we are looking for a consultant in a given area, given all these submissions from Dorothy and that beautiful lady there, is when do we know the wannabe and the actual consultant? When can we detect? What are those things that we can look out for?
So I guess this goes beyond even just consultants. I think whatever we do in life, whether profession, whether family, are you a good brother, are you a good sister, are you a good whatever, a good father, anything, there's always that, is that the word where they say imposter syndrome? Yeah. Whatever that is. So you find that majority of us, we are always learning everything we do. Like, you can't know everything, you're always learning, you're always learning, you're always learning. So I'll start off with that first part where we talked about, is it, where you asked, is it to do with the length, how long you've been doing something, or is it something else? So I guess there's I think it's I look at it, there's this saying, but I've forgotten, I'm not so good at there's this thing of 10,000 hours, whatever that thing is. I think when I say 10,000, I think it clicks all over, right? That, is it intensity? Something about intensity that you put in, right? So you find that, I think it's common in some universities, especially in the US, where they really work the students. So you find that the student in their 2 years, I think even that's why I think, was it in some place where the students, the suicide rate is high? Is it MIT? Yes. So they really work you to the bone. And by the time you leave, your brain is all fried, and probably what you've learned in those probably 1 or 2 years, another person maybe may take 20 years to learn what you've learned in that particular period of short time. So I guess, but then I guess also the learning never stops every time you're learning. So your ability, learning how to learn, is also extremely important. So mastering the fundamentals, right? Because you find that things come up, new language, new business ideas. So you find that's why some business, they've stayed the course of time, 100+ years, because along the way they adapt. When things change, because they master the fundamentals of keeping their business afloat. So they're able to learn anything new, and they're able to add on to what they already knew, and then keep on moving on. And so I guess there's a lot to learn in the future, but then how did you master the fundamentals, and then also did you learn how to learn new things? So I guess, and then also on top of that, the experiences that you had. So you find that people who have had quite a number of experiences, maybe you find that someone can experience 10 years in 1 week. Does that sound good? Anyway, whatever that means, but you can experience what someone has taken 10 years to experience in 1 week, right? So I think the intensity of your learning, so you find some people, especially youth, the 20s and low, the embracing the grind. I think that's what some of those universities really do, especially those top ones. They really make the student, by the time they leave, that student has embraced the grind. And that's why you find that just mentioning that you are maybe part of Flip Africa or part of what, if they know the culture within that organization, that's already enough. They know that this person, by the time they've spent time within that organization, they will be able to pick up any new thing. You get it? And so I've gone all ways, but the whole point I'm trying to bring about here is that topic of expert and all that. I think it's the definition could be a little bit old, maybe consultant. I think we draw from experiences, because now if you just theoretical, you read somewhere in the book, but you didn't do, because there's reading, theory, there's doing, and then there's experiencing, right? So I guess it's if you just read about, maybe say how to plant tomatoes or how to plant sweet potatoes, and you've read all the books, and you can even memorize line by line, well, you're different from the person who has done, right? Because there's a lot of hidden information people don't share. You find that someone can tell you they're making a lot of money from sweet potatoes, but actually, in reality, when you do it, you also experience it like, it's a bit tough, right? But then there's also the experience. Through doing, you get experience. So I think it's all about experience. The more experience you have, the more projects you do, the more, it's a game of numbers, but also at the same time, it doesn't necessarily mean that the period under which you've done. Some people can experience your 10 years in 1 week. Of course, I've used that as some kind of like, very, it's not very clear, kind of like parabolic, but I hope it makes sense. Thank you.
Thank you. We could also hear from Neha. What makes a consultant? Is it the education, or is it because someone has done business for 10 years that they automatically qualify to be a consultant? And then also, how do we detect a wannabe from a real consultant?
I would say the hustle is real, guys. So, and the imposter syndrome, is deafening as well. So, this is what I really believe, and it's held me back for a long time, especially for women, or especially as you're coming out of school, younger women. It's just teach what you know. You do know, even if you're the guy or the girl that's read so much about how to plant tomatoes. Just to build on that example, there might be, a small farmer somewhere, urban farmer or something that could use that knowledge you have. So just start small and start with what you have and start with what you know. Teach everything you know. That's how you build experience. Start with your family business. Let's say you're a digital marketer. You have to get to the point where you have 10 years experience. It doesn't just happen, right? So go to your friend who has that small dress shop and create her Instagram page and be her, social media influencer, digital marketer. That's how you start building your portfolio. It doesn't just come to you, and it's not just waiting for you. What is a consultant? A consultant is just someone who offers professional services, whether it's to a business or to an individual. So that can be at every level. Somebody Anybody can be a consultant. This means that you're not employed full-time in the organization, you're just offering your service on the basis of, here are the services, and this is the amount that we pay for those services. It's really basic. Anybody can be a consultant, and I would like to lower the bar because, instead of being exclusionary, let's find a way that everybody can make some money based on the sphere of influence they have around you. Everybody knows a family business or is part of a family business or has a friend that has a small shop here or a shop, as I said. Just start there. Start and build your portfolio until you become that legitimate, in your eyes, until you build that portfolio that you want.
Thank you so much. Yes.
I would just say this as a word of encouragement for everyone, because we've all been through this journey from the very beginning of building our own personal brands. I would say focus on your personal brand, build your value, build not only your skills, but also a character that clients want to deal with. In the end, it's a people business, like Simon mentioned. So be likable in the way that you are someone that shows up, that delivers consistently, and then build your brand in areas of your expertise, or what you're building as your expertise. So as long as you can deliver something of value to a customer, whether it's an individual or a business, you are a consultant. So don't have that imposter syndrome. Just start from there, build for the people around you within your sphere of influence, and go up from there.
Thank you. So I think just to build on to what she's just said, is that I think from where you are, you can prepare yourself for all opportunities later on, either as a consultant or whatever, or maybe a specialist or expert, all those words people use. So I find that I think there's a need to also somehow enjoy what you do. So if it's, again, I'm giving examples that are not very tech, so that because some of these concepts are applicable everywhere. So if you're doing rabbit farming or potato farming or whatever, I think there's a need to somehow, especially when you're younger, you have time. So I think if you don't enjoy what you do, it's really hard to become it's really hard to hold your craft, to become better at what you do if you don't have that inner drive to learn more and become better. So I think for me, in terms of preparation, is first of all having the product mindset. I think she talked about delivering value to the client or the person you're delivering, creating a solution for, because there's a risk about if you're just developing everything. I think I've given this example, and I think majority of us either have experienced it or they are yet to experience it, where you've been with meetings with this client, they've paid you, you've done everything, but for some reason, the product you developed for them, they don't even use it. And for some, maybe they were just being nice, they don't tell you. So you find that it's only people within your company and yourself who are using it. And the project went on well, but no one within the organization is using it. So I think just making sure that you're delivering value continuously, because when you deliver value, you can actually use it as a reference in future opportunities. You say that you see that project as actually one contributor. So you kind of use it as your CV, and also at the same time building relationships, because most of these things you need to create a network. Some opportunities just come up without you asking for them, simply because of how you did your work in the previous opportunity that was given to you. So are you professional? Are you showing up on meetings on time? Are you delivering? Are you delivering as expected? Are you aware of all those people's skills that are necessary to maintain that relationship? Because don't burn bridges or something, whatever that English phrase is. Just make sure that you build on top of that, and then the rest will work itself out. Thank you.
Of course, what I can say is you need to believe in yourself. You are your number one cheerleader. If you believe you can do it, then you are almost there. Many times we look for validation outside ourselves, but people out there are equally busy dealing with their own things in life, you know. So believe in yourself, speak to yourself, convince yourself that you're the best that the world has ever seen, and show up, you know. Usually in the consultancy space, some opportunities may not present themselves as opportunities but as challenges. So do you have the courage to show up and contribute to these different challenges? Thank you.
All right, I think now we've come to the end, but I would love to conclusively re-echo some of what our speakers say. They say be valuable, be likable, build your character because your character is very, very important. Build your brand based on your expertise. And that connects with what Martin was saying. You should be enjoying what you do. So enjoy what you do. Have a project mindset. Deliver value to the client. And don't burn bridges simply because something didn't go well. And what Simon said is, believe in yourself and convince yourself that you're the best. But then above all, show up. We've come to the end of our discussion, and I do believe that we have learned a lot. Thank you so much for being here with us, our speakers, Neha, Martin, and Simon. And this is the time when we at least applaud our guest speakers for being here and for sharing with us.